Hello everybody and welcome to the 2025 Oscars. Spelt on like how you see it on the screen right now. Last year in 2024, I watched 100 movies. It's actually 99 movies to be honest, but Letterboxd let me log The Penguin as a movie, even though it's a TV show. So it's actually 99 movies, which is kind of unsatisfying, but that's life, I guess. A big unsatisfying thing. So I thought it could be fun to kind of go over all of these movies. I'm not going to talk about ones that I've rewatched, so this list is going to be a bit shorter than 100. With this list, we're going to go over from lowest ranking to highest. This year really had some of the worst and the best movies that I've ever seen, so it's gonna make for a really interesting one. I'm also gonna talk about movies that I've seen that haven't come out this year, like new movies to me, basically. But I'll state them towards the end of the ranking. So if I'm talking about all the one-star movies, the non-2024 movies are going to be towards the end. Also, what's considered a 2024 movie to you is different than what it is to me because movies come out in different times in different countries. And a lot of movies that came out in December 2023 in America came out in January of 2024 in the UK. So that's what life is. We're going to start with the movies that I didn't give any ranking to. Literally the reason for all of them is because I fell asleep. Like I went out and I watched the movie in a movie theater, but then I fell asleep. So I wanted to note that I wanted to document that I've seen some of this, but it didn't feel right to give it a ranking. Those movies are The Boy and the Heron, Evil Does Not Exist, and I went to a screening of It's a Wonderful Life and I fell asleep during that as well. The reason for me falling asleep during It's a Wonderful Life was we went to see it right after I directed a music video for like 3 days, so I was really tired. So I think that's fair. Evil Does Not Exist, I was jet lagged, and The Boy and the Heron, I was just tired, and the movie feels like a dream. So I think that's fine that I fell asleep. I do want to rewatch all of them though. I do want to give them a proper watch. Starting off strong at 0.5 out of 5 is Disaster Movie. In my letterbox, I just gave it middle finger because that movie. I'm gonna talk about it more at some other point, so I'm gonna reserve what I have to say for now. At 1 star, my only 1-star movie is Morbius. That movie, man. It's not even like Madam Web where you can enjoy how bad it is. I didn't enjoy how bad it was. I was just bored out of my mind. It's like an AI generated movie. There's nothing that happens in that movie it is new to any level. Like obviously, you know, taking inspiration is part of creating things. This movie is just a recycled thing of a billion things I've seen before and it's boring. And that's its biggest crime. At least Madam Web is not boring. 1.5 stars. We have Unfrosted. That movie. 1.5 stars. I gave it 1.5 stars. Maybe it deserves less. I don't know. It had a bunch of funny gags every now and again. It's a ghoulish movie. Made by Jerry Seinfeld, and I don't know, I talked about it on my main channel a bunch. I don't have a lot to say. It just like a waste of time, you know? Didn't enjoy watching it. Been a little while since I've seen it, so I'm trying to like literally remember one thing about it. I thought the fact that they did the race to getting the cereal, that they did like an analogy to like the space race or the nuclear race, that was like an interesting thing that the movie did. But besides that, I don't want to watch that movie ever again. My other 1.5 is the movie Uglies. I thought it was really funny at points though. Most of the stuff that I watch that is at the very bottom is just stuff that I watch for videos. So, you know, mostly I try to spend my time watching movies that I like. Uglies was never really gonna be that. You could watch the full video I made on it. I just think it's, you know, again, quite soulless, corporate, all that stuff. Performances are fine. The premise doesn't really make a lot of sense. That's really what I want to get to the bottom of. Like, why do they think that making everyone as pretty as one another is gonna solve the fossil fuel problem? Do the books make more sense when it comes to this? Let me know. Then at number 2, a lot of these 2-star movies are movies that I've seen with maybe the intention of watching something good. Not really. Okay, Madam Web. Madam Web is a blast, man. Might deserve a 5, Madam Web. I seriously enjoyed that movie. If you remember from my main Pinely video, I went to see it alone. The movie just came out and it was practically an empty theater. I think there were like 5 other people there. I went in, I bought this cute little bottle of wine, and I just had so much fun. It's so incredibly incoherent. I'd recommend watching this movie on alcohol, but not on weed. I think that would really stress me out. Then there's Borderlands. The Borderlands movie, it probably deserves less than a 2 out of 5. 2 is too close to average. That movie, fuck. How did that even come to be? I think there are like a few moments towards the beginning that like the group has like somewhat of a decent chemistry and all that, and that's maybe where I gave it the grace of giving it a 2. It just nosedives so much as the movie goes on. No one is funny in it at all. At the end though, there's this sort of Spy Kids 3D-esque scene. Just the worst fucking CGI where, who is it, Kate Blanchett? She gets these like fire wings, and she's like supposed to be all awesome now, but it's just stupid and lame, and I don't care about any of these characters, and they can go to hell as far as I care. I might be stopping myself from getting future opportunities like this, but I went to see this in an early, like one of those like early influencer screenings. I went to see it as a +1 though, so you know, if you actually invite me, maybe I'll like Borderlands more. I went to see this as a +1. And I'm not even kidding. 30 people who were invited to an early screening, 30 people left during that thing. It was embarrassing. It was honestly an embarrassing movie. They tried to make it for like 6 years. Spent all this time for this. And there's The Bubble. I don't know. Maybe that one deserves a bit more. Yeah, I watched that for a video. It's just kind of whatever. Don't have that much to say about this one. I think I don't have to talk that much about every single one of these because this is a long list. Next one I do have a lot to say about, and that one is Megalopolis, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Oh my god. I was so stressed out watching that movie. I went to see it with George Mimulus and a few other friends, and man, it was just incredibly stressful. Like, I just felt horrible. Like this horrible deep feeling in my stomach. What did I not like about it? A, it looks hideous. They went for this sort of like orange color thing, and like sometimes they have real sets, but sometimes it's like an entirely CGI set, and when it's an entirely CGI set, it's rough. It really is. You can tell that they ran out of budget. If you guys don't know, I mean, it's a pretty famous story at this point, but if you don't know the story of this movie, Francis Ford Coppola was trying to make this thing since like the 80s. Well, at least he had the idea in his head since then. No one was really willing to give him the budget for this, and at this point, the tender age of 80, he was like, fuck it, I'm old, I want to make this movie. And he financed it himself, and he had to sell like a big chunk of his wine place to afford making this. And what everyone's been saying, and I agree with that, is you can see that it's 40 years worth of ideas. There's like plot points that are like huge. In every movie, they'd be huge. Like, spoiler alert, the main character gets shot in the eye, but they like fucking come and go for like 5 seconds, and it's insane. The dialogue is like, I mean, rough. It's clearly heavily improvised for a lot of it, but it's not good improv. It just feels like the actors are confused and no one's telling them like what to do. There's a scene, and hopefully this is online to some extent. My editor can overlay this on the screen as I'm talking. There's a scene where John Voight, he plays this, not billionaire, I'm pretty sure he's a trillionaire, and Aubrey Plaza married him for money and to take his money or something. And she somehow steals his company off of him. I don't remember how. Like, a lot of things happen in this movie because it's kind of decided that now is the time for them to happen. It's not because of... It doesn't happen out of conflict or out of... you know, a certain character's wants or whatever. Anyways, so she steals his company, he has a stroke, and he's in this sort of like weakened state, so people kind of dismiss him. And then Aubrey Plaza and Shia LaBeouf are in the room with him, and they don't give a f*** about talking about their own evil plans because, you know, he doesn't know Jon Voight doesn't know what's going on. They talk about their evil plans, and then Jon Voight says something along the lines of like, look at my boner. And then they're like, what the f*** are you talking about? And he's like, it's not as big as it used to be, but it still works. It's still a good boner. And then they look at him, and we cut to Jon Voight, and he's on his bed, and there's like a blanket over him, and there's a boner-shaped sort of situation happening like on the blanket. And then he takes off the blanket, there's a tiny crossbow there, and he says to Aubrey Plaza, take this, you Wall Street slut. And he shoots her in the heart with the crossbow, and then he shoots Shia LaBeouf. I called him Shia LaBeouf. That's fair. Shoots Shia LaBeouf in the butt, and then he waddles out of the room. And that's like the best scene of this movie, actually. It's a movie about a guy who, if everyone could just leave him alone for a second and just give him money to like make this city that he really wants to make, then it'll be a really good city. And then he gets the money and he makes the city and it's a good city. So it's pretty much about Francis Ford Coppola trying to make that movie. Every time someone comes to Adam Driver and is like, you know, the city that you want to build, it's gonna like overhauling everything to that level. It's gonna like seriously displace a lot of people and all that. Every single fucking time he just quotes Shakespeare or like something from like a Roman thing. It's like, just my head. Another 2-star movie is Joker Deux, Folie Deux. It's just, what a lame thing. I went to see these two movies like back to back, that and Megalopolis. Just two seriously unpleasant experiences. I think Joker has a bunch going for it. I think it looks phenomenal, the performances are great, but it's the script, man. It's just, it's rotten to the core. Just the story, like what's going on over there, I don't think is interesting on any level. So the movie is about Joker. He's after the experiences of Joker 1, he's in prison, and then Lady Gaga, who's Harley Quinn, she's like a fangirl of his, and she kind of tries to break him out. And it looks like it's going well. And up until that point, them attempting to break out of prison, it's a pretty compelling movie-ish, I'd say. I quite enjoyed it. And they do this big musical number and they're about to escape prison. And I was thinking to myself, oh, okay, they're gonna like escape prison using this sort of larger-than-life sort of song kind of thing. It's gonna be a bit surrealistic, but then they're out. And that's the movie, and it's gonna be like a Bonnie and Clyde sort of thing, maybe. But then they get caught, and then the movie is boring. I think there's a plague of trying to like make movies, especially comic book movies, too grounded. And that just means that you end up losing a lot of what makes the movie interesting. I think grounding stuff in reality can be very interesting at times. But yeah, it could also just be fucking whatever. So that's why whenever there's a musical number in this, it has to be like a dream or something like that. And it's like, okay, sure. Let's stop this entire plot to just listen to this musical number. A lot of people had a problem with the fact that Joker 2 was a musical, like on its surface. But I don't think that's that big of a deal. Like, I actually would have enjoyed a good musical. But a good musical uses the songs to actually progress the plot, which never really happened in this. The plot is going, and then they stop it, and then they do the musical number, and then they go back and do the story. It just ends up being quite a clunky way of structuring this. And that is besides the point that, like, I guess spoiler alert, the entire movie is about Joker, the character, the famous villain, who is just in a court for a while. He's just in court. It's a courtroom drama. And then at the end of the court thing, you'd think like, oh, does he escape in some wonderful way? No, someone else like blows the side of the building. He escapes the courtroom, and then he gets caught 2 minutes after that, and then he goes back to prison, and then he gets stabbed and he dies. And that's the story of the Joker. And that's the thing, they wrote themselves into a pretty tough spot with the first movie. I don't think it was ever meant to have a sequel, really. Todd Phillips kept talking about how that's never gonna happen. Arthur, the Joker in the first movie, is written as not just a mentally ill character, but also as straight up a pretty stupid guy. Like, not in a mean way, but he hasn't really done anything where, like, I don't know, he's devising a super interesting plan or anything like that. He's not intellectually sort of... If Batman was there, he wouldn't be an intellectual rival to him, right? The story is really about this sort of sad guy and his the problem. And while I don't love the first Joker movie too much, that's a concept that works for like one film. But if you're really gonna try and turn him into this character, this villain, you can't do it with this guy. Like, of course this guy's gonna stay in prison and, like, then get stabbed. Like, yeah, I agree. That's, like, grounded in reality. This guy that they established, like, why would he be able to escape prison and turn this into an interesting movie? He's never shown the capability of doing something like that. Then, at 2.5 stars, it's Nonsense Christmas by Sabrina Carpenter. That's maybe a bit harsh. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I like a lot of Sabrina Carpenter's stuff, but just, I guess that wasn't for me. I thought some of it was good. I don't know. 2.5 doesn't mean bad. 2.5 just means, like, I thought it was fine. Then at number 3, we have 3 movies. We have the Garfield movie. I just thought the animation looked really sick, but the story was whatever. They had like 4 Mission Impossible references, or 3. It was like a weird amount of them. Then I put my own movie, Lava Snail, which is that's good. It's the short film we made as part of this video about film reviews. Let's have the thumbnail on the screen. I also gave a 3 to Hellboy 2019. I thought that movie is a bit overhated. Honestly, I don't know. I love all the performances in it. I love how all the monsters look in that movie. I think it's really sick. I think that's really cool. Honestly, it does kind of drag though. It doesn't have like the punch that I'd kind of like from something like this. But I think that's something they could have improved on if this did well and they got to do another movie. Then at 3.5, we have Beetlejuice. Thought it was super fun, super colorful. Maybe deserves a bit higher. I don't know. I thought it was a blast. The Fall Guy, yeah, just a bunch of hot people doing stunts. I watched Paddington 3. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. They're kind of using the elements of the franchise that are really good, and they're using that well. Like, just the family dynamic and all that. But actually, no, they don't really use it that well. Because they separate Paddington from them for a while. And the mom is a different actress. I thought the new mom in the movie was good, but, like, I missed the other mom. It was a fun time, but, like, I just thought those other movies are so like tight, you know? Like with the pacing, there's not like a moment wasted. And I kind of missed that with this. I thought this could have been a shorter experience all in all. Monkey Man, fun movie, fun action, incredible action, looks great. I think Dev Patel has a lot of promise as a director. I do sometimes, with a movie like this, it's just a personal take thing. I mean, all of this is. But with a movie like this, with a movie like John Wick, I enjoy them. It's like a roller coaster ride, but I do sometimes feel a bit hollow at the end of it. I don't know, I just don't feel a lot when watching it. Is that bad? You judge me. Hitman was pretty fun. I gave that a 3.5. The Apprentice, the Donald Trump movie, gave that a 3.5. I might see it as a bit more than that. I don't know. That was a screening that I was invited to. And they brought out the cast for like 2 seconds, and they didn't know what to say, and then they left. And it was pretty cool. These are like cool actors. Can we have the actors that are in this movie? Can we have a list of them on the screen? It's cool. It's cool seeing them in real life. As for the movie itself, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was what it did that was really interesting was the way in which it humanized Trump. And I don't mean humanized in this sort of like, it doesn't make him seem like a good guy, not to any like level, far from it. But what it shows you quite well is that this person, well, he does have a lot of power, all the power in the world pretty much. While he is seen as this sort of larger than life figure, he's not a god. He's just a guy. And I think that that's a pretty important perspective. Sonic 3, I watched that a few days ago actually. What a blast, man. I grew up playing that Shadow game. It was just so much fun seeing it in real life, seeing Shadow. I mean, it wasn't in real life, it was in a movie. But like, loved it. Awesome. Deadpool Wolverine, that movie did the opposite of growing on me. That's since I watched it. I still like it, don't get me wrong, but it was just too much of like, it kind of reminded me of those movies in a way, where there's just like a gag every second and all of that, and it's not necessarily like the best of gags. I think it's definitely the weakest out of those Deadpool movies. And part of the reason for that for me is that in this, he can just like, I don't know, like the bad guy will tell him his evil plan and kind of just wave around the one thing Deadpool needs. It's the guy from Succession. It's Tom from Succession. It's that scene. He's waving around. He's like telling Deadpool is like, listen, I'm planning on like killing like everyone in your universe. This is pretty early on. This is the premise of the movie, so it's not really a spoiler. But you can treat it as a spoiler and skip ahead. He's like, I'm gonna kill everyone in your universe and all the people you love. And I have access to seeing what you've done in the past when people you've loved have been threatened. But that said, I'm still gonna tell you all of this and give you literally the one way, this like teleporting thingy. I'm gonna give you the one way to foil my plans. I'm gonna wave it around you. And Deadpool just takes it. And that's what kicks off the story. I just think it's pretty lame. And there's just a lot of that. Like, things happen because they need to happen. And I've heard people be like, oh, well, it's Deadpool. But that wasn't the case in the other movies. Like, I get that he's like a fourth wall breaking guy, but they were like actual stakes and stuff, you know? I don't ask for much. I know that it's, I'm going into that to watch a fun comic book movie, but I would like just a little bit more. When it comes to my fun little comic book movies. Still liked it though. Heretic, don't have much to say about it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought it was a bit too rambly at times with the dialogue, but still, good movie. Then at 4. Now, I have so many movies that I gave a 4 to this year. This was really the year of 4-star movies. Some of these deserve more, I'll say that. But I'll let you know which ones in a bit. How to Have Sex. That movie was brilliant. That might deserve more. That probably deserves more. It's just a very like real feeling movie. I don't want to spoil any of it. This is going to be the rough run with these endless, because you know, the more I like the movie, the less I want to spoil it for you guys. Just watch it. It's a like, it can be quite a visceral experience, but I just loved it. I thought it felt really, I don't know, man. Like you're almost seeing a documentary on these people. I thought that was great. Mad Max Furiosa, thought it was a blast. Really didn't do well at the box office though. But yeah, man, great stuff. Anna Taylor-Joy gets a big thumbs up. 3 big booms, or 5, or whatever these guys say, the Costco guys. Oh, I watched A Different Man this year as well. Sebastian Stan is winning my heart this year. God, what a brilliant movie. Again, can't spoil too much about it, but oh my god. There's just the way that movie looks hits so much with me, man. The movie is about Sebastian Stan. He has this sort of face condition thing. I don't remember what it's called. I'm sorry. He gets this operation to kind of have the face of Sebastian Stan, and it falls under this category for me of like, and don't get me wrong when I say it, but lame sci-fi. As in, the technology is, I guess, impressive, but it's all done in these like dingy f***ing rooms, and it's like this really one specific technology, but the rest of the world is pretty much the exact same. Like being John Malkovich, for example, you know? Like that's maybe even fantasy, but like just a dingy thing happening in an office, a dirty office. I love it. It's very 1999 movie kind of vibes. Tone-wise, this isn't a spoiler or even like revealing a plot twist or whatever the fuck, but like just the tone of it shifts in such a fascinating way throughout it that, I don't know, it did it so, like, naturally that, like, oh, I caught myself later on being like, oh, this is, like, sort of like a different kind of movie now. Yeah, highly, highly recommend. Maybe it should be more than a 4, but I don't know, these rankings are stupid. Like, it's hard to, like, whittle down a movie to a number. This is just made so it's kind of easier for me and for you to consume. I watched Wicked this year. Thought it was really fun, man. Defied my expectations a lot. I don't have that much to say about it, besides the fact that I thought that they were both great. The two Wicked Witches. It's only one of them is the Wicked Witch, but I think they're gonna try and turn this into like the next cinematic universe. Straight up. I think there's gonna be a new Wizard of Oz reboot. That's definitely gonna happen. And mark my words, man. This is the new thing that they're like cashing in on. This is gonna be the thing. They're gonna do Wicked 2, and then they're gonna do the Wizard of Oz, and maybe even split that thing into 2 stories. Who knows? But this is the new franchise, okay? MCU, God, it's the land, we're in the land of Oz now. Watch the movie Thunder Road, just thought it was a real beautiful thing. That's not from this year, so I was supposed to say this later, but awesome stuff. I watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is another screening that okay, so I wasn't invited to this one. I came in as a +1, but let me take this moment to talk about this stupid thing. The screening was like this really, really impressive kind of event. They kind of made it so the whole kind of area leading up to the actual cinema looked like this sort of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes sort of situation. And then we went in, and all they showed us was the first 30 minutes of the movie. This is like a thing they do now. They bring in influencers, and because they're like, well, influencers, they're not like actual celebrities. Influencers, you know, they'll come to whatever they're invited to, and that's true. Like, I do come to whatever I'm invited to, because it's pretty cool when I get to be invited to something. So they're like, oh, we'll just show them the first 30 minutes. And that was that. They did all of this, and they showed us 30 minutes of a movie, and then they did another, like, hour of a Q&A with the cast. What is this? From what I heard, they're doing this to avoid spoilers, but, like, who the is spoiling Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Wes Ball directed this. He did all the Maze Runner movies. I think real underrated guy. Like, he does such a good job handling these big blockbusters and not making them feel like this corporate sludge. Like, he does a really good job of, like, kickstarting this world and making it feel really lived in. And it is sort of kickstarted because I think this movie takes place, like, 200 years after the last Planet of the Apes movie. Thought it was brilliant. Thought it was super, super fun. I watched The Wild Robot. I really enjoyed it. I'll say that much. I was also just quite tired when I saw it, and I want to rewatch it. I did find it really moving and all that stuff, but I didn't feel like the same oomph that I did with, I guess, I was comparing it to Puss in Boots, the new one. A lot of people said that it's better than that. I don't really agree, but sometimes when it comes to these sort of movies that have so many, like, details and crazy animation and all that stuff, I kind of really need a rewatch to fully appreciate it, because for the first watch, I'm, like, just super overwhelmed. Okay, I'm looking at my list. There's so many to go through, so if the movie didn't come out this year, I'm just gonna give it a shout out. But I can't fully review it anymore because it'll just take too much time. I'm gonna blast through some of these, okay? Longlegs. Thought it looked beautiful. I really liked what Nicolas Cage did in there. I forgot her name, but the main actress, I thought she was phenomenal. It might be a 3.5. I do agree that, like, the end, some people say that it ends in a bit of an underwhelming way, but I don't know. I really liked it. I really liked this thing, straight up. Ooh, A Real Pain. A Real Pain. Oh, what a that's a great movie. Directed by Jesse Eisenberg. This was another thing I was invited to. Don't want to brag, but this might affect the score because I enjoyed the event quite a bit. It was so nice. There was like a really fun Q&A at the end of it. If my editor/brother asks me, I'll send him the footage of it to show a little bit on the screen. They were just like arguing like in the movie. It was very funny. Him and Kieran Culkin. The movie is about these two cousins. The grandma passes away. The story starts off with that being the case. They go to Poland to do this tour throughout the country, and they go through like concentration camps. They go to the house that she grew up in. It's really, really good. I just really love the way it tackles that sort of feeling where, I don't know, you're kind of going through this thing. Let's say you're in a museum, you're in this place where you feel like you're supposed to be feeling a certain way. You're supposed to be feeling rough. You're supposed to be feeling all that. And maybe that emotion doesn't come at that spot. Maybe it will come an hour later, 2 hours later. And sort of like the guilt that comes through that. It also really, really hones in on the dynamic between the two of them, which I just think was done beautifully. They were talking in the Q&A about how there was like a whole bunch of improv to do with that, especially coming from Kieran. Brilliant stuff. It's one of those where you gotta watch it. It's a really nice experience. And the last 4-star movie I watched this year was Kinds of Kindness by Yorgos Lanthimos. I thought that movie was a lot of fun. It really shows how important editing is. It really reminded me of I Think You Should Leave sketch, but it's just edited in this fucking stressful ass way. Real fun stuff. Other 4-star things that I watched this year for the first time but didn't come out this year would be This Is England. Really good. Pretty Woman. Really good. Wow, she like carries herself with such a fucking crazy aura in that movie. Awesome. Hairspray, very fun. I watched Titanic for the first time. Weird experience. It's really weird watching a movie you know so much about. Like I knew every single plot point. Oh shit, and this did come this year. Anora. I loved Anora. It didn't hit for me in the same way that like other Sean Baker movies do. Again, might be like a rewatch, sort of a needed rewatch sort of thing. Something that I really like about this is Sean Baker, with his other movies, I think the subject for all of his feature films, or most of them, are sex workers. And it's really interesting to see how he tackles that world in such a different way every single time. If I'm comparing this to something like Red Rocket, for example, a movie that is of way less of a budget and all that, it's quite interesting because it feels like he is still telling quite an intimate story. And the main thing that he's using this bigger budget for when it comes to this movie is to tell a sex worker story that happens in a richer setting. All around great performances. What's the name of I don't know the names of any of the actors in this. I should look it up. Yeah, Mikey Madison. Phenomenal, man. She was talking in an interview about how there's like an opening scene of her at the strip club and she's like kind of going around and like trying to get clients, and it's insane, man. It's so good. And yeah, apparently just it wasn't really like any script for that. They just kind of created a live set and just let her go and roam around, and she just did all that on the spot. Super impressive. Yeah, I thought her and, I mean, all the cast is great, but I thought the guy that played Igor was phenomenal, man. Just has those eyes where you can, like, just see so much story in them, so much personality. Great stuff. Back to movies that didn't come out this year that I liked. Oh, Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde was really fun. That I also watched this year. Cool stuff. All right. 4.5 movies. The Substance. Originally I gave it a 4 on Letterboxd, but I'm giving it a 4.5 now. None of this matters anyways, but when I watched this movie, I was so... It was crazy, man. It was so crazy. I really am not good with body horror. That was when I found it out. That shit is rough for me. That was really rough to watch. I just love how in your face it is. It's so cathartic. When I walked out of it, it almost felt like I was watching the beginning of like a new genre. Like I think they're gonna come out a lot of movies that are gonna be of this vibe after it. And that's pretty cool. All of Us Strangers. The whole movie just feels like you're in a dream. Pretty cool. I watched it like really at the beginning of last year, so it's... I don't know. I saw the TV Glow. Mamma mia, I saw a great movie. That's what I said after I went out of the movie theater. Another very dreamy movie. I mean, very much so. This is one where I really don't want to say anything about it to you. I don't want to spoil it. But God, it's beautiful, man. This is just sort of like exactly stuff I'd love to be able to make one day. Just, it uses all these like out of these world kind of elements. but it also just feels so real and like, you know, insecure at times as well, in a good way. I can't recommend that movie enough. I think it's phenomenal. Robot Dreams, I think that's technically a 2023 movie, but I saw it later. Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was really lovely. There's not much of a difference between those 4.5 and those 4 movies, really. Challengers is another one where like, fuck, man. I gave it a 4, I think, when I watched it, but I raised the rating for this. It's just such a horny f***ing movie, but like horny in a stressful way. Like horny in a way where like, yeah, I see that. I could be this stressed as well about being horny. It's because it's not, you know, it's not about sex as an act. It's about sex as a representative of the dynamic between all these characters. And the tennis scenes show that perfectly, right? It's the same dynamic there and when they're in bed together. God, fucking just looks great. Everyone's hot. It's good stuff. Oh, I forgot to say that I saw Queer as well, also by Luca Guadagnino. That might be a 4-star movie for me. This is all very organized. Really cool to see 2 movies from him that came out in the same year, and they look and feel so fundamentally different. I had some worries coming into it, I guess because of the sort of age gap that they're depicting, and I was like, oh, are they gonna show it as if this thing is like super cool? And they don't. The story really focuses and hones in on Daniel Craig's character. And it is really more than anything the story of I don't know, somewhat of an empty man. Or a man who's doing all these things, whether it's drugs, whether it's the way he kind of looks at relationships. He's doing that all to kind of make himself feel less empty. And he's really trying to kind of eat life up as much as he can. The movie just looked amazing. Just looked phenomenal, man. It was like a feast. It was just like every shot reminded me a bit of like Wes Anderson in a way, where like just all these little trinkets in every spot. It really took delight in the fact that it was a period piece. Inside Out 2, I liked it as much as the first one. I know other people don't. I cried my heart out. I don't know. I know some people say that that's not a metric, but I felt a lot, and I think me feeling a lot counts for something. 4.5 feels right for me. I saw Conclave the other day. That movie was so good as well. I thought it was awesome. Like, it was like a lot of fun. I didn't expect to have that much fun with a movie about some Pope shit. Just prime example of like really good visual storytelling. Like, the movie, while it does focus on these sort of like politics between these people, as you know, they're trying to figure out who's going to be the next pope. And it really focuses on the kind of bare bones of that. It kind of removes that idea of like looking at them as these like, ooh, these really big religious figures. But you do still feel, I think, a sense of spirituality in this. I guess just from the way that it's shot. It's shot in a way where you feel the presence of God, I guess. Or mainly kind of the presence of the Pope that died. The Pope that died before the movie happened. I love a movie that also sticks to like a really f***ing, like, they just go for a color scheme, red and white and black, and they just do that for the whole movie. And it looks so satisfying. I want to eat it. I also watched Boys Go to Jupiter. Sort of a 2024 movie, but it might get a full release next, or like this year, I don't know. Julian Glander completely animated this thing himself from scratch. It has a lot of really good comedians in it. I love a vibe movie. I love a movie that I'm just there, and I'm there to feel this space and to feel that feeling. It's very patient to create something like that, I guess. I thought it looked gorgeous. I thought it was so much fun. All the voice actors there were great. They all talk in this sort of like monotone kind of way and all that. And it goes into some really batshit places, but it keeps treating it as the most mundane thing ever, which I really love. I found it super inspirational. Like, I don't know, just the story of him making that and all that. Just found that great. Poor Things, pretty much a 2023 movie, but fucking hell, I thought it was amazing. Other non-2024 movies that I watched in 2024 that I gave this rating were City of God. I watched that in a rescreening of it in a movie theater near me, and I loved it. What a fucking amazing movie. It feels quite inspired by like a lot of Scorsese stuff, I guess. I didn't expect that. Yeah, really good. Beetlejuice, gave that a 4.5. That's a good movie. Gladiator, also watched that on the big screen in a rescreening near me. God, what an awesome movie to watch like in a movie theater. Just fucking sick. I've never seen it before. First time a few months ago. just badass shit all along. It's all great stuff. I haven't watched a new one. Might watch it at some point, who knows. Also watched the movie Sunshine in a movie theater, and that was an amazing experience, man. God, watch Sunshine. People aren't talking about this movie enough. Everyone's talking about Interstellar, and Interstellar's great, but you should talk about Sunshine as well. Pure, I don't know, existential horror, just feeling tiny compared to the sun. It's just about how scary the sun is. But it's not. It's about more than that. It's about the futility of life, but also the importance of it. I don't know. Watch it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the territory of fives. First of all, just on the lead up, we're going to do this opposite style. So I'm going to talk about the non-2024 movies that are in this 5 list. Because these are movies that I maybe saw because they're classics and all that. We really want to find out which movie topped the list of 2025. We have The Iron Claw. Now that's a movie that technically, it came out in 2023, but it did screen here in the UK in January. So that sort of is a 2024 movie, maybe not though. It's great, man. I grew up with like a lot of brothers, made me think about my brothers as well. Oh man, what a f***ing roller coaster that movie. I think Zac Efron is just absolutely f***ing phenomenal in it, and yeah, tells that story in a really beautiful way. Holdovers is another 2023 really movie that I watched in 2024. I'm reading it in on the lead up. I rewatched it recently again in the movie theater sort of situation, in the rescreenings that they do. It's the perfect Christmas film, man. Perfect. I'm Martin Scorsese with my hands up saying perfect. It's a perfect f***ing movie. What's the name of the lead in this? Dominic Sessa. God, that guy. This is his first f***ing movie. The level of confidence that he has while playing this role. Amazing. Shout out, can't recommend this movie enough. I love it so much. I watched 2 of the Before movies. I thought they were both phenomenal. The 2 first ones, I still have to watch Before Midnight. It's a great movie. Great movies. Nashville is probably the movie that I've seen in 2024 that like sat with me the most. Another incredible sort of tonal shift. Yeah, it starts off and I was sure it's this sort of like screwball comedy thing, and it's not. It's just such an impressive film. Like, it just, I don't know, man. I don't know how you make something like Nashville. The movie is basically about all these sort of kind of like characters, these country singers in Nashville as that scene was kind of booming. At least from my perspective, it sets up a lot of these characters at first as these sort of caricatures, and then it just does this thing where like one by one you really get to know them and it really humanizes them, and it's just all these like beautiful and often really tragic stories. I'm trying to talk about it without spoiling anything, but watch Nashville. And like, even for me at first, I wasn't the biggest fan, but as it went on, I became the biggest fan. So give it a shot. I really recommend it. But now, for the movie that was actually the only movie that properly came out in 2024 that I gave a perfect 5 stars to, but there's probably others that I think are as good, but I actually think this one did hit the most for me. It's Dune Part 2. Dude, I fully believe in Timothy Chalamet just seems like a dude, like a normal dude in real life. But then I do believe in him as this, like, even though I know that he's a fake prophet, I think that if I was there, I would have believed him as well. I would have thought that he's like the real deal. As someone who's read Dune, just any way in which you adapt that thing, I think is fucking magic to me. I think adapting that book, it has like hundreds of pages of exposition, turning that into like a watchable thing. Very impressive stuff. I think the book is great, but it's like a tough thing, especially the first part of it. Yeah, man. It's just a badass movie. It looks phenomenal. It just, I don't know, man. I've noticed a pattern that with some of these that I really like, it's harder for me to explain why I really like them, but it's just a feeling. It feels like you're getting hit with a bat in the best way possible. I really want to rewatch it now, actually. I might do that after this video. Alright guys, thank you for watching. This was... this was such a long thing to record. I don't think this is gonna do well. I usually talk about, like, topics here, so I don't know if a video where I talk about 100 movies is gonna do well, but this is, like, for the actual, you know, like, hardcore Pinely fans. Evil Pinely fans, sorry, that's who I am. This is, like, if you actually really are a big fan, this is for you. Hope you guys have a good 2025, and subscribe, and bye.